Hey everybody, sit down around the hearth, grab a frosty mug of ale. Welcome to the Lion's Pride Tavern, where we discuss all things Azeroth. Hey everybody, welcome to the Lion's Pride Tavern podcast number 33. Tonight we talk about our awesome weekend raid and more on 7.2. But before all that, let's start off with introductions. I'm your host, Fafford. I play a Dwarven Beastmaster Hunter in the awesome game World of Warcraft. Next up, we have Joe Bowie.
Hi, I'm Joe Bowie. I play a Worgen Frost Mage.
What?
Yep. I retired my fire for now, at least, thanks to Blizz, but I'm going Frost Mage.
We will talk about that. Next up is Lorelei.
Hi, happy Easter. It's Lorelai, your Night Elf Fury Warrior.
Whew, still a Fury Warrior. Good. All right.
Still.
Well, we're not quite sure where Epistle's at tonight, our Draenei Protection Paladin. Hopefully he'll join us mid-podcast, but we're going to go ahead and get a start without him. But Tappuccino's back.
Yay.
Hey, I'm Tappuccino, your Night Elf Restoration Druid. Don't worry, I don't plan on changing anytime soon.
All right, so let's start off tonight. We're just going to give our raid a little shout out on how well we did. Joe Bowie?
All right, so on Friday night, we worked on normal. We did skip 2 Trilliacs. We skipped the first 2 bosses. And we made it all the way to Elisant. We had a few hiccups here and there, not with the gameplay, just with, players not being ready to move and having to sort through an enormous amount of loot that players didn't need, that they were putting up for rolls, and that took quite a while. So we finished off with Elisand, and then on Saturday we went in and finished off Gul'dan, and then we went into Heroics, did Scorpirion, Chromatic Anomaly, and Trilliacs, and got a few pulls on Croesus, which still needs some cleanup, but we did really well.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So, what do you think was the most difficult part of the entire raid weekend? Joe Bowie?
Oh, in my opinion, it's reminding players that, like a 5-minute break time is a 5-minute break time. It's not time to go off and go shopping on the auction house and, you know, travel around or switch tunes for a few minutes or something. I mean, it's just 5 minutes. You got time to hit the bathroom, maybe get another drink or something, or what have you. There's not a lot of time there. And also, the other thing that was really troublesome, which I already mentioned, which is dealing with handing out loot. Since we're cross realm, we don't do like loot roll thing. We can't do master looter. But so trading up that loot took a long time because there was so much of it.
Shows how much that people have been getting that they don't need as much anymore.
Right. But gameplay wise, again, it's mechanics. You know, like when we got to Croesus, I think we could have taken Croesus down, but a key mechanic was not getting done, and it wiped us a number of times. So I think it's just really people just really have to get on those mechanics, and on that particular mechanic, it's everybody. Everybody has to do that mechanic without exception, and that just wasn't getting done. So we got to work on that for next week.
Yep, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Lorelei, what do you think the most difficult part was? I know you weren't there
Wasn't there
Saturday,
Saturday,
yeah.
right? I agree with Joe Bowie because we had a little conversation at one point between ourselves that we could get through. I mean, if we're skipping 2 bosses, we should be able to get through all the way through Gul'dan in one evening. But the problem was the breaks taking 20, 25 minutes because people left to go get enchants and or gems and this or that. And I think that really, I don't know. That's kind of the rule that we use in our guild is if you get a piece of gear, that's fine. That's great if it needs to be upgraded. If nobody can do it in raid, then you wait until the raid's over. It's not going to make that big a difference that evening. And it's just, it takes up a lot of time. And I agree. We have to find a better way to get the gear sorted out. I know that it's hard, and Jobu does a great job taking charge of, calling it out and seeing who gets it. But I don't know. I'll think about that. Is there any faster way of doing it since we're getting so much gear? But if we're going into heroics and not doing normals very very much, then that'll probably cut that down a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
did.
would make sense.
I did come up with one idea for how to make the loot more efficient, which was just everybody links their loot in raid chat to notify me what's up for roll kind of thing. And I think in the future I'm just going to have everybody whisper it to me. And then I can go through my whisper tab and look at it and say, okay, well, we've got 4 of these or 3 of these kind of thing. And I'll say, this is up. There's 1 Warforged and a normal. So top 2 rolls gets 1, or whatever. And it just will cut down on the clutter in raid chat and the confusion, I think, because I'll be the only one linking the item in raid chat. So people can see it a little easier. And it'll be easier for me to keep track of, too. That might help a little. But yeah, heroics will cut down on that a lot because people need the gear out of heroics.
That's a good idea.
Well, and I think the other thing we can do also is not give, a 3 count on it. Just say, okay, everybody roll. No more rolls. So and so gets it, and that's simple. If they didn't get the roll in, well, you got to be ready for it.
Yeah, they weren't
Yeah.
paying attention.
We
and
Right.
gotta keep moving. It's not that we're trying to be a meanie. I mean, we could, for the first few, we could go, oh, okay, since the roll's in there, but
Yeah.
stay on top of it. Pay attention.
Yeah,
know,
and
but-
the
and I think-
other thing I was thinking was since we're going to be skipping some more bosses in the near future, I was thinking that we'll just do loot rolls after Gul'dan goes down. So like while we're doing normal, there won't be any loot rolls until after we're done with Gul'dan.
Well, 6 of one, half a dozen the other, in my opinion, because if you don't do loot rolls, you're going to do one big long loot roll, or you just simply say, because loot's. This is what I was actually thinking. Because we're trading so much loot, forget the trades. Everybody post it. If somebody needs it, just shout out that they need it. And then let them just have it. Because there's really not a lot of people rolling when an item does come up. There's maybe 3 people. I don't know.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we could
Unless
do
it's
that.
like a trinket or something, you might get more. I like the idea of the whisper because, like, when you're trying to look to see what people have linked, it gets lost up in all that chatter, like you said. So, someone might, which takes longer because you're looking through and saying, oh, wait, I need to see that, what that piece is. So I think instead of having to link it again, I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, because a lot of times for me to relink, because I have to relink stuff for people to know what's being rolled on, and I have to scroll up and find it, and then link it, and then watch the rolls and stuff. And this will just allow me to switch back and forth between tabs if I have everybody whisper it. So I think that'll help a little.
Yeah.
But it is a tough job,
Hey, maybe our fans can help us out. If any of you fans know of a simpler way for 25 to 30 loots to get rolled on, let us know. Maybe there's an add-on you know about, or maybe some of you add-on developers can make one that'd be really simple. So
It's possible we could also do it by item level. It's like an 855, why don't you just keep it, DE it, sell it, whatever. But if it's over maybe a certain level, then you can offer it up.
Maybe.
yeah, that's a good
I don't know.
idea too. Yeah. Anyway, Tap, what do you think? What was the most difficult part about the raid this weekend?
Well, we were a little shy on heals last night, so I think it was a little tougher for us to, to get through the heroics, but we managed. I mean, we had some people switch, which was nice. It's always appreciated when, people will, switch from one spec to another because, you come in as a certain spec because you want to get, that's what you like to do. So we do appreciate that, folks, when, you're asked to go healers or go TPS or whatever. It's a big help. But I think it was, a lot of fun, of course, and things are getting a little tense. I think we were just, anxious to get these things down, and the mechanics are a lot better in the normal raid. The heals last night would have, I think we would have gotten through Croesus too if we had the mechanics down a little bit better and had our regular healing team. But then again, people did good. The ones that we ended up with. So that was probably the hardest part. I think is just getting used to the mechanics and the heroics.
I agree. So let's talk about Croesus. Croesus is our progression boss. We did 3 polls on it. We got him down to about the same spot every single time, but every single time, and I talked with this a couple of the raid leaders, it was the same thing taking us out each time, or at least weakening us enough to where we couldn't take it down. So Joe Bowie, let's talk about what we talked about.
Yeah, essentially, and I don't. Let me look up the name of that particular effect real quick.
The swirly on the ground thingy.
Yeah, it's got a name, but I don't recall what it's called. Um, Burning Pitch is
Yeah.
what that's called.
Yes, that
Um,
was a tough
and
one.
and there is one burning pitch pool, a little swirly that shows up on the ground. It's kind of greenish in color for every single player. A tank, a healer, a DPS, it doesn't matter. There is a swirly for you, swirly for you, swirly for you, swirly for you. Now, it is possible for a player to stand in 2 of them if they are overlapping and absorb both of them. However, that's not something we should rely on. It's just every player needs to get to a pitch, and it, like players would, like sometimes they would see somebody already in a pool that they were heading to, and then they wouldn't, divert to another one. They just stop and stand there because the pool that they were thinking they were going to go into, somebody was already in, and they didn't get in a different one, or 2 people would get into the same pool, which on heroic, those ads that come up are very dangerous. They can easily start knocking out players, and so it's just we have to get everyone in the mindset that in that segment, when that mechanic comes up, everybody's got to do it. I know some of us will go down to the end of the bridge, like Jelly and I were going all the way down to the end of the bridge, because we can blink twice, so we can get all the way down there and get to something. And I'm not sure exactly, if we need to like start trying to position players a little bit, like saying, like these folks, hang back at max range so you can get to the back swirlies, and these folks, you know, stay somewhat mid range so that you can get the ones in the middle, and then, making sure the melee are getting onto theirs. I don't know exactly what the fix is there to try and make sure everybody is getting to one, but everybody needs to get to one, or it's going to be rough, and we may not get through that fight.
Yeah, we don't
Is
have a lot of time to stand on one either, so it might be helpful to spread people out like that.
and is that a case again of melee not moving and taking part of that responsibility?
No,
I don't,
I don't think it was
No,
any
they
one
were all
particular
over.
group.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
they were up
seems
back, they were up front,
that
Okay.
yeah,
in the
there
middle.
was like on one pole the entire midsection was full of ads.
Uh,
On another pole there was a couple in the back that didn't get picked up. On another pole there was a ton in the front next to Croesus that didn't get picked up. So it seemed to be like kind of randomish about where people were going to pick them up and where people were not. Um, so I don't know exactly where it was falling apart, but it was just not getting done right.
Well, let's ask Lorelai. What do you do? Have you been through Croesus on heroic?
oh yeah. Hmm.
So what do you do to combat the swirlies? And I've got the new tagline for us too, Joe Bowie. When we announce it and we go, okay, look, everybody's got to get in a little swirly because there's a swirly for you.
Swirly for you.
Right. That's good. Now we just make sure that everybody understands that part of their job is stop what you're doing and go stand in a swirly. And if you have to run a little bit farther, you can. Like the mages have blink, warriors have the heroic leap, and people can get to a swirly if they really want to. And I think that's, I mean, I didn't see it, but it kind of sounds like things that have happened in the past with us is that we have to get people to understand heroic is not the new normal. It's
Yeah.
it's not going to be forgiving. It's going to make sure that you're doing what you need to do, and everybody has to buy into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think it's important people know it's like even stop in mid-cast.
Yeah.
Stop fighting, just stop and get to that swirly. I like
Yeah.
that tagline,
Yeah,
by the
because the
way.
ones in the back just they will tear everybody up, and the one if there's nobody getting even the ones in the middle or in the front, you're just not going to make it. You don't
Yeah.
have much time to get. Because I know the first time we got Croesus down, it was we got him down. We killed him just before he killed us and took that last little bit of the bridge. It was almost like you could see everybody scrambling and hanging on by their fingernails because luckily he died first because we all fell into the tainted water right after, but luckily we won.
Wow.
It was
That'd be a
Yeah.
close one.
Yeah, and I think that's I really do. And Joe Booey and I talked about it after the raid. I think that's really where we just need to go. This is one of those mechanics that we just have to stop and remind everybody, hey, look, everybody has a swirly.
Swirly for you.
Not
Yeah.
not because one person stands in two of them, that's fine. It just means you need to find a different one. Everybody needs to be in a swirly. And if we
And
get, if we get it down to where there's only one that pops, that's not a big deal. Because they do what did Durag say? It was like 1,000,000
Yeah, they
raid
do a lot of
AoE
damage.
when they
yeah,
blow up.
every time they hit somebody, it does 1,000,000 damage to that player, and that I think that player emits an AoE. It's like they yeah, it's 1,000,000 to the player and about 1,000,000 to all players within 3 yards of that player. So it's pretty bad. What they do, but uh, one of the things I think that's playing into this a little bit is a thing that we've dealt with a little bit before, which is we have you know what I would maybe call heavy lifters, players who are handling some of the mechanics that need to be done during the fight, whereas other players are not necessarily handling those mechanics on a regular basis, and so they're not really used to that, and so they're maybe not getting on it as quick as they need to because they're not used to doing those extra mechanics, and I think that might just be a little bit of a contributing factor.
It's definitely possible. I know there is, you know, groups of people, a handful, that will take on the extra mechanic, instead of just concentrating on what they're doing. But in this one particularly, where everybody's got a swirly, if it was 2/3 of the raid that got swirlies, it wouldn't be a big deal. It wouldn't be
Right.
a biggest deal of mechanic. But in normal, it's not a big deal because when they do pop up, if there's 5 or 6 of them, it's no big deal. We DPS them down and they're done. But this does some damage. So yeah,
Yeah.
Well, I have to take a little issue when you say that. Oh, everyone can get to a swirly because when the way that they're bunched up and stuff, it's not always possible to get to a swirly
well,
because we're all, I mean, it's if I have to run by the time I get there, the swirl it's already done. So maybe
yeah,
that's even more of a point of having everybody spreading out and stuff.
And
yeah.
one
I didn't say that you can get to one. I said you have to get to one. You
right.
have to
Oh
at
no,
least
no,
make the
I
attempt. Yeah.
right,
I mean,
I
And
and that's what I'm thinking is that they're not, people who are, and I know Joe will agree with me, people who are not used to doing the extra mechanics don't look around. So when there is a mechanic that requires them to do something, they're not focused enough to look for that mechanic. So I think it's more of, maybe we'll just make sure we tell everybody right at the very beginning, there's a swirly for you
Swirly for you.
with your name on it. You've got to go get it.
boy, too bad
Because
they
everyone
didn't
that
have our
doesn't.
names
Yeah.
on it.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
right.
That would be kind of nice if there was although that might be kind of difficult because what if a player with low
Where's my
mobility
name?
gets one that's really far away and then they have to try
Yeah.
to find themselves? We experienced a little bit of that with the Odin fight, just with
Yeah,
getting that
yeah.
symbol over their head and having to get to something. But I think one thing that'll help a little bit, which I'm gonna try and do the next time we're up against Croesus and Heroic, is DBM does give us a bit of a countdown timer. There is a timer up there that I can see that says that the burning pitch is coming in X number of seconds, and so I'm gonna try and warn people, burning pitch in 10 seconds, and so that will
Yep.
alert people. All right,
Yeah.
you gotta look around. It's time to look around and pay attention because you got to get to a swirly. And if you don't, then you could cost us this kill. So get to a swirly.
Swirly for you.
I was going to say, and in the beginning, when we've got the full bridge, we could, put maybe, I don't know which group needs to be in the middle. I don't know if that's ranged or heals, or if heals needs to be, that could be figured out. Just assign a group in the middle and in the back, and then we could see how that goes, and then then we can see better who's not picking up those swirlies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just the swirlies either. That stupid explosion thing. Now,
Yeah.
I have to admit, on the second poll, that was me that got it, and I was like looking at the guy next to me, going, "Move, move! Oh shit, it's me!"
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I was standing right behind you and I'm like, move, go to the back. And you're like, and I saw you kind of twitch,
yeah,
like I saw your character twitch like
I
visibly.
totally thought it was the guy because DBM does one of two things. It either warns you by putting something over your head, or it shows you people next to you that have it on them so you can move away. And I seriously sat there and went, "Move, move." And it was me. And I
You
was
know,
like, "Oh no." So I twitched back and I think I went like 3 yards and went boom.
yeah, you ran right on top of me and then exploded
Yeah.
actually. But I've been there before myself on the Spellblade fight. I had the fire on me, and I'm already on fire, so or I was at least, and so I was like, "Hey, get out of the group," and I said it over TeamSpeak, and
And it
it
was
was
you.
me that had to get out of the group, so got to
Yeah.
feel a little sheepish there.
Yeah. Well, and then it happens. And like I said, if we get one or two that don't get into the swirlies, we can handle that. But when you have 4 or 5, that's a lot of damage going off.
Yeah,
And that's looking back, that's exactly where we kept losing good DPS, where the healers couldn't keep up with it. So that's just one of those mechanics. So for right now, Croesus, it's our progression.
and that
Yep.
was our first polls on heroic in that. So
It was, yeah, and we got them down in the 30s each time.
Yeah.
So I predict we'll get there.
Oh, I'm certain we will.
Definitely, yeah.
It's just
You always do.
it's just gonna be people getting used to it, people like realizing that, oh, that's not something I can slack off on. I've got to do it, and they'll do it, and they'll get used to it, and then we'll blow through it like we do other bosses every week.
Yeah, kind of like Scorpion. First couple of times we did it, we're like, man, the shields are just, all the ads are killing us. And then it's like now, I didn't play the week before because I had my event, but I played this last one, and I was like, man, everybody's just behind the shield way before you need to. It's like they're hiding behind them all the time, which was great.
Yeah.
The mechanic
Well,
was
we
there.
were
And
hiding actually.
Yeah. And the
Yeah,
cakes.
people have gotten used to those, and it's gotten a lot better. But that's usually how it goes. We struggle on a boss until everybody gets used to it, and then we just stop struggling on it because
Yep.
now it's by rote. We know all the dance moves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the cakes. I know you guys were struggling with the cakes, and I didn't see any struggle. A little bit, just a tiny little bit of struggle with the cakes, but nothing that was causing the problems from the last week. So, yeah.
No, and it still took us a couple pulls on Trilliax, but fewer pulls than it took the week before. So we improved, but we have room for improvement on the
Yeah.
Trilliax fight.
Well, to be completely honest, and I did that too, I forgot that he changed directions when he does the laser beam out his butt. And I was going with it and going with it, and then it switched, and I was like, oh, too fast because I'd hit my speed boost
Right? Yeah,
and ran right into it. It kills you one shot.
it's kind of funny, like with that rotation mechanic, there's that feeling like you need to hit your speed boost or something to keep up with it, but you really don't. You just need to watch him carefully and then just make sure you're staying on his side and not getting too far ahead or too far behind. You're just staying directly 90 degrees from those beams, and just stay there. It's not, even if you've got the slowdown from being stuffed. Even if you got the stuff debuff, you can keep up with it. It's not that fast. It's just don't panic.
Oh, well, see, I entered at the front of him
Oh,
when he
yeah.
came in, so I speed boost to get to the side of him, and then he switched directions on me. But, regardless, I mean, the one thing I think we need to make sure everybody understands is even if you have the purple stuff on the ground, run through it, take that a little bit of damage versus trying to go around it. Because I did watch a couple of people go out and around, and by the time they got back, it had switched, and they were like really close to it coming back the other way.
Yeah, I will say that one mechanic that our players were rocking out on in that Trilliax fight that we were doing is the players that get the debuff that makes the scrubbers work harder and faster. They were really on top of that. Our
Oh
field
yeah.
of play was very clean. They had cleaned up most of the stuff on the ground in there, so that was really good work on that mechanic.
Well, and the other one, I think you were mentioning that as soon as he's done shooting the beams, everybody get to the outside,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
that outside ring. Everybody, melee and everybody, because then it starts dropping the purple stuff again.
Yeah,
yeah,
that
like
got a
right
lot
away.
better this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I noticed that it was a lot cleaner in the middle than even during normal, and I was like,
Sure.
wow, that's pretty good. Now there was a couple of times. Now, correct me if I was wrong, but there was a couple of times when he spun, he never switched directions.
Yeah, but
That's
it's
true.
Yeah,
Yep.
he'll do
he
that.
doesn't have
Okay.
to. It's just he can
Yeah.
switch directions in heroic.
Okay.
But I think it's sort of random so that you don't expect him to do the same thing every time. Because it's meant to keep you on your toes. Kind of thing. So you don't know what he's going to do, like you do with normal. With normal, he starts spinning. You just go around the same direction the whole time. With heroic, maybe he's going to do that. Maybe he won't. You'll find out.
Yeah, I just want to make sure because nobody mentioned that, and I think it was the first poll. I was like, well, he never switched directions; he went all the way around. So that second poll, I just, I kind of went with the whole thing. Well, maybe he doesn't flip back, and they were, you know, maybe they were smoking a little reefer or something. I don't know. But
He
then he
tricked you.
switched, yeah, and I'm like, oh no, that didn't work.
Yeah. No.
The tough part on that fight too is if you have the chains and you're linked to somebody and that thing goes off, that's really tough when you're trying to stay together and get into position to avoid him. I know it killed me and Jelly that first time around.
Well, and that was one
Yeah,
of
I
the
had
things
a
I'd heard was that there was a melee and then a range that got it, and the melee's like, I'm melee, come to me, and it's like, no, 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 you guys got to go to each other. One
yeah.
can't make it in enough time to get
Oh
there, and
yeah,
I
Well,
you
think then it
definitely.
really worked.
I got bonds with one player who was literally all the way on the other side of the room eating a cake, and the bond was going all the way across the room, and so he started coming to me, and I started blinking towards him. We ended up meeting in the middle, kind of thing. And then we both had stuff we needed to do in there. Like there was another cake that needed to be eaten, so we're like communicating. All right, follow me. I'm going this way for the cake, and we're trying to run together to do the mechanics like in tandem because we're linked together. That can get a little hairy, but it's kind
Yeah.
of fun. I like it actually.
It is. It does make it exciting.
Well, yeah, and I think so. Next week, what we're going to do is we're going to skip one or two bosses. Did we decide? Probably just one more. We're going to get a lockout on it.
Uh, that would be Trilliax you want to skip, right?
Yeah, because we're at that point now where we go right to Trilliax
Yeah.
with the lockout.
Actually, Durag and I were talking about that a little bit, and we were thinking that what we ought to do is take down Spellblade and take down High Botanist and leave Croesus, Tichondrius, and Star Augur, because Croesus, Tichondrius, and Star Augur are all tier piece bosses, and the other two are not. And then then we would come in and uh, we've got Croesus, Star Augur, and then Tichondrius, and then we move on Elisan Gul'dan, and then work on heroics. The downside to that is if we don't leave Spellblade up, don't have a place to practice some of the mechanics from week to week. But I don't think that's essential necessarily. We can always tackle those mechanics when we get to her on heroic. Uh, but I think that the feeling we had was that we would skip, that we would get through uh, Spellblade and High Botanist and leave the other three because they're tier bosses for the lockout.
Okay. So yeah, that sounds like a good thing to do for next weekend.
Yeah, and that should also help with the whole loot thing, which is why we were talking about well, there's really no point because in stopping to do a loot exchange before we kill Gul'dan, because it's only going to be 5 bosses in total, which is roughly about where we would stop to do a loot exchange anyway. So we'll just wait till after we get Gul'dan down, because honestly, none of the gear that anybody's going to get is going to make or break our success in finishing normal. So they don't need that gear until after we finish Gul'dan, and then maybe we start on heroics.
All right, let's talk some about 7.2. So we do have a fan base question, and I'm kind of curious about this. We kind of touched a little bit on it with the Centenax, but let's just explain how it works and what it's good for, and then maybe something about the Nether shards. What are they good for, Joe Bowie?
Uh, well, Centenax is good for getting nether shards. Essentially, it can, there is a way that you can use that to also gain reputation, but essentially, what it comes down to is the Centenax flies around to different locations, and if you have these gem items, they're called beacons. They're Centenax beacons of different types. You can you can click on one of those, and then the Centenax will send down this little laser beam that will open a portal, and then demons will come out of the portal that you can kill. And those demons will drop, each one of them will drop a small amount of Nether shards. So if you're farming Nether shards, the Centenax is a great way to get those. They don't give rep directly. But what you can do is if you gather those Nether shards, you can go back and I forget the name of the item right off the top of my head, but there is I think it's a portal disruptor or something like that you can purchase from these 2 NPCs that are up near where the mage towery thing is, and one of them sells this portal disruptor things, and then if you travel around in the area, you can find these half. I think it's something about damaged or something portals that are sitting up there. They will show up on your mini map, and if you use one of these portals as disruptors on it, it will spawn a mini boss that you can kill. That will give you some resources, some Legion Fall resources that you can then take and turn in if you get 100 of those to get 150 reps. So tangentially, it's a way of gaining rep, but it's not a very straightforward method. You earn the Nether shards. You can use the Nether shards to buy the warp token thing. You can use the warp token thing to use on those little portal things to get a little bit of resources, to turn in the resources to get a little bit of rep. If you
Good
want to go,
grief.
yeah, I know, right? It's ridiculous. You could also get stuff, the same sort of thing from chests or from the big alien head bosses that show up around there. But yeah, the Centenax itself is purely Nether shards. But there is cool things to do with Nether shards. You can buy relinquish tokens for 5,000 apiece, and those relinquish tokens will give you a piece of 880 plus gear. Starts at 880. If it Warforges or Titan Forges, it can go higher. And that can be any gear that comes out of any of the raids. I've seen gear, I've gotten the Gul'dan trinket, Warforged at 890 from there. You can get artifact relics if your artifact relics are having a problem. If you need a new pair of boots, you could get a boot and it's going to be 880. So it's a great way to fill in a hole in your armor. Something that you've just not gotten a drop on. You can start buying up those tokens with Neither shards and get a piece of loot that is going to help you get a little stronger. You can also use those Neither shards for gambling in that little cave where you can buy a key to open a chest, kind of like it was in Timeless Isle. And and you open up a chest, and the chest has a chance to give you a massive number of Neither shards, or maybe, like in my case, just one Neither shard when you open the chest.
Oh no.
Yeah, I got
Hated
one.
that cave.
Just one Neither shard. I was like, seriously?
Oh,
One
that
Neither
would
shard?
make me never go back again.
Luckily it was from the world quest, and there is a world quest that'll send you down in that cave after you've unlocked the cave from the regular missions, and you can get a key for 100 Neither shards. Typically, it's 2,000 Neither shards to buy a key, and then I've heard as much as 100,000 Neither shards dropping from one of those chests. So, I mean, you can hit the lottery on those, but yeah, it's hit
Yeah,
or
I
miss.
got a total of 4,000 in 2 chests. I got 1,000 in one chest and 3,000 in another. And because it was the first time I had been in there, I got the free key. And then you turn the quest in and you get another key. So for 2 free keys, I get 4,000 other shards.
Yeah, or you could get one, you know.
Or you could get one.
So yeah,
Awesome.
that's basically it for Sentinix. But those relinquished tokens, folks, those are a great thing for filling. I can't stress that enough. For filling in that weak spot on your tune, get those relinquished tokens. You can also use those Neither shards to buy one of the ingredients to do the crafted legendaries for 8,000 Neither shards. But you can only get that quest to get the other materials when the Neither Disruptor building is up.
Oh, I got information about that one, but you gotta wait for the news. All right, flying. Let's talk about flying. So, what exactly does it take to get flying right now?
Being
Patience.
awesome.
Yeah, being
Oh,
awesome.
oh,
Who's got
yeah,
their flying?
Patience.
no,
Joe Bowie has his flying.
yeah. Well, no, I think it's. She's right. It's patience. You
Yeah.
know, it's diligence and
Time.
patience.
I'll have it by
Grinding.
the end. I'll have it by the end of this week.
Yeah, I will too, I'm pretty sure.
Well-geared champions for your class hall helps.
Why is that?
Well, the champion missions come up, and if you have your champions leveled up to or with item levels at 900, there are champion missions that come up that will give you 2 reputation tokens for the Legion Fall, the Army of the Legion Fall, which is 250 rep each. So that's 500 rep that you can knock out from one champion mission.
All right, so let's just talk about the requirements. What is the requirements for flying? You have to have what achievements done and what reputations done.
Pathfinder Part 1, you have to explore the new Broken Shore, and you need to have revered with the Army of the Legion Fall, and that's it.
Okay.
So for most people, it's just going to be the rep, is
Yeah.
because
Yeah, that's the
you'll
hard
end up
part.
you'll end up exploring it just from doing the quests there and stuff. It's not hard to explore that island.
It's not that big a place. It's a lot of
Five
demons.
5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe.
That's for the second part, correct? You still have to.
Yeah.
Still have to explore the rest of the.
Yeah, Pathfinder Part
broken-
1 is very involved. There is
Yeah.
a lot going on with Pathfinder Part 1, but I would expect the vast majority of players who've been playing Legion probably have that done by now.
Yeah.
If not, look it up. It's going to take you a while. It's not a short thing getting Pathfinder Part 1.
Yeah, there's like 5 different achievements you have to do. And they're
Yeah.
all pretty involved.
All right. So who's got flying? Joe Bowie.
Yep, I got flying. I got it last Last Tuesday, I got flying.
Lorelai, you're getting close.
I'm getting close. I should be able to make it by the weekend.
Tap.
Very close. I've got about, well, a little less than 2,500 to go for rep.
The pistol isn't here, but I can tell you he got his flying last night.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
That's probably why he's not here. Because he
Yeah,
spent all
he's
night
flying
getting-
around.
Yeah.
He spent all night getting all of his stuff so he could get it.
He grinded his last reputation. He was like 250 short, and then he went around the broken shore buying those tokens and killing those bosses and looking for treasure chests so he could finish it. He was determined last night to finish that off and did it.
To be honest with you guys, I can't stand the Broken Shores. I do not like the way it's laid out. Everything's got layers to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You-
it is tough. It's tough to get around.
You'll stop not liking it once you get flying. It's not bad once you can fly.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
It looks like a lot of the world quests. I was traveling to one of the world quests to go get some more resources, and I was the only one there. I was like, well, I'm going to pull this boss anyway. And as soon as I hit it, 4 people dropped out of the air.
Yeah, that's always
Nice.
nice.
Oh, I didn't even look up. Yeah, hey, there's
The
people
cavalry
flying.
shows up,
Yeah.
right?
And you're like,
They
oh,
were all
thank
sitting
God
there
you're
waiting.
here.
You know, they did improve it a little bit from the first. I think it was the first. I don't know if it was the whole first week. Then they decided that they would put in some of those grappling hooks.
I
Yes,
noticed
I
that.
noticed
Yeah. I
that.
didn't
Yeah.
think I'd seen them in the beginning, and I'm like, what? Where did that pop up from?
Yeah,
there was
I'm like,
there-
oh, thank God.
But I
There
wish
was a
they'd
blue post
do
about it.
something with them and lighten them up or sparkly them up or better, because you can't see
Yeah.
anything because everything is so dark over there.
Yeah, but they put a blue post up saying that, you know, they've gone through and put hooks up for grappling hooks, you know, to make life easier for you, and it does. It is nice. There's a few key spots.
Yeah, I know. My wife and I were running around. She goes, "Oh, use the grappling hooks to go down." And I hit the first one, and I fell the rest of the way. Good thing she's
Did
a
she
shaman. She
know-
rezzed me.
Did she know that was going to happen?
You know, I've been married to her for 20 years, and I'm going to say yes, she knew.
And I bet she laughed right before she rezzed you.
She laughs every time she rezzes me. All right, so let's cue the music. It's time for Lorelai's Pet Battle Minute.
All right. Hi, it's Lorelai in your Pet Battle Minute. Today, I'd like to walk you through the Broken Shore pet tamer, Madame Viciosa. I hope I'm saying that right. You can actually use a leveling pet with this. And I also use an unborn Valkyr with Shadow Slash, Curse of Doom, and Haunt, and an Emerald Proto Whelp with Breath, Ancient Blessing, and Proto Strike. Your leveling pet needs to be at least about a level 15 to survive, and he goes in your first slot. Don't worry about attacking with him because the imp will nethergate him out anyway, so you won't get a chance to attack with him. Then your unborn Valkyr is up, and put up Curse of Doom and Haunt. That's going to put your Valkyr back in your backline pets, and Curse of Doom and Haunt should pretty much take out the imp. Next, you're going to bring up your Proto Whelp, and you will want to stall Imply so that Curse of Doom kills him. So use your Proto Strike, your Ancient Blessing, and then spam Breath until he dies. And then next up is Rover. Use your Proto Whelp again and spam Breath 3 times, and he should be dead. You want to get him down quickly because his breath attack focuses on your backline pets. And the last pet that will come up is Seduction. And you're going to continue with your Proto Strike, followed by the Ancient Blessing and spam Breath, and she'll be down, and you will get your pet reward. And that's it for today.
All right. Hey, did you notice that 7.2.5, they're going to have another pet battle dungeon, and it's supposed to be down in the Dead Mines.
I was looking that one up, and it's going to have a lot of mechanical pets and humanoids in there. So you got to start looking up what goes well against mechanical pets and humanoids, and a couple of undead thrown in just to make it interesting. So I will have some information on that for you as 7.2 gets closer.
Yeah. And I don't even think they've even released when 7.2.5 is coming out. But
No, I'm
I
thinking
just,
probably not until sometime during the summer, or probably
yeah,
late summer, August, September.
I
I
just
don't
thought it
know.
was interesting they had another pet dungeon.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see if that hits before or after we get Tomb of Sargeras. You know, because that's like in 8 weeks or something.
I bet Tomb of
Ooh,
Sargeras comes out
yeah.
first.
Okay.
Predictions, Tappuccino, what do you think?
Tomb of Sargeras.
Yep.
Unless they're gonna, well, then again, if they're gonna be changing some characters and their specs and stuff, they might want to do that before it comes out too,
Oh
so
no,
Yeah.
they're
people
gonna
get a chance to play.
they'll want to screw it up for us.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, you got that right.
They want to turn everyone on their ear. That's kind of their MO.
Yeah, that's kind of their thing. we all have swirlies with our names on it.
Swirly for you.
They like to mess with us.
They do.
They like to scrub off the names, so you don't know
All
what
right.
you're doing.
All right, getting deeps with Joe Bowie.
Okay, one thing that can improve your DPS is to set up efficient key bindings to your most useful abilities and spells. By default, World of Warcraft has key bindings for 1 to 0 for the buttons on your main action bar. You can, however, set up additional key bindings for other action bars. You can access the key binding settings by hitting escape and then click on key bindings. I place utility spells and abilities on my secondary action bar, and then I assign the shift modifiers to the key bindings for them. The first button on the main action bar is 1, so the one above it is shift 1. I find that this helps eliminate any confusion for me and gives me easy access to most of my essential spells and abilities. Additionally, I also keybind some spells and abilities to the extra buttons on my mouse as well. I especially like to use abilities that I can cast on the move to my mouse buttons because it frees up my left hand to handle movement while I can hit the buttons using my right hand on my mouse for attacks. I also usually set up key bindings for the E and Q key on my keyboard for movement-based abilities or spells such as my Worgen Darkflight run speed boost and my Mage Shimmer spell. I find that having my movement-based key bindings near my primary move keys, ASDW, makes sense for me and makes moving around that much easier, which can be very important for handling raid mechanics. Remember, you can assign any key to any spell or ability as long as you have placed it on one of the toolbars and assigned a key binding to it. Modifiers such as Shift, Alt, and Control can help you keep them organized and will give you quick, easy access to all your spells and abilities.
Tappuccino's tap into the healing.
All right, tonight I'd like to talk about heal assignments. I brought up the question of heal assignments with our heal team this weekend to get folks' thoughts on the matter. Currently, we don't assign healers to any particular tank or group, and I was wondering if we should now that we are doing heroics along with our normal raid. The consensus for us is that we don't need to do heal assignments. As a heavy resto druid heal team, we use a lot of hots, which are pretty easy for us to manage on our own. We do have an order for tranquility, though, as it is our biggest CD, and remember that's for cooldown, and we don't want to waste them by using more than we have to. We also have, been raiding for quite a while together, so we have a good idea of how each other heals. A lot of raid teams do have assignments for heals and for tanks and DPS, and others don't. If you get into a raid that requires assignments or doesn't, remember to respect their choice and have fun with whatever you end up doing, whether you're assigned to or not. Big thing is have fun. And that is Tappuccino's Tap Into the Healing Minute.
Very good. All right. Dot, 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 dot. It's WFN News, Warcraft Fafford News. So, after I guess it was Sunday, their server outage that Blizzard had for quite a while, 4 or 5 hours, I think it was.
6 hours.
Yeah, 6 hours. They decided to bump both buildings, the command center and the Nether Disruptor, so they are now both up and operational across all U.S. servers. Sorry, UK, they love us.
Yay, finally.
Yeah,
So that's why both buildings are up. It
that's
wasn't
why. Yep.
interesting. That was like a that was our gimme.
Yeah, that was them going, oh, somebody hit the power switch at Blizzard's headquarters. Oops.
Terribly sorry, I've spilled my beer on the server.
I saw some of the forums, and someone's like, "Did you try unplugging it and plugging it back in again?"
Yeah.
It was
Did you not
good.
notice the power was out?
You've got to pay that power bill every month, Bob.
I cannot imagine what Blizzard's power bill is. Oh.
Oh,
Oh,
some of these companies, Google's, with all the YouTube stuff that's out there. Holy moly.
Yeah. I wonder how many rivers are diverted to cool the systems that we play on.
Hey, I thought that was pretty interesting. I actually watched a documentary where they were using server farms underwater
Ooh, that would make
wow.
sense.
I
because it's so cold down there. The
That's pretty
problem
cool.
was getting it to seal. So it was
Oh,
completely, because they can run cables. I mean, there's internet cables that run underneath the ocean floor, but they were actually working with submerged servers to cool them off because the water's so cool down there.
hmm.
I've also heard about that there are small towns that their hot water supply is entirely supplied by a server farm that is nearby that pumps their hot water into the town so they can get just hot water right out of their taps.
Why not? I mean,
Hey,
they're running all the
it's
time.
efficient.
Yeah.
I do wish when they had done this, though, they had upped those buildings, but they never did anything with the Mage Tower, and you still cannot turn in any of the war tokens there.
Wow,
And
Tap
that's
totally
been
changed lanes
was
on us.
I know, I'm sorry, because I was like staring at it, and I'm like, I gotta get this in before we stop.
It should be up now. I think it's
No,
listed as destroyed.
it is, and it says you can't contribute to it.
Oh,
It's not
it's
under
not.
construction yet.
Gotcha.
Uh, yeah.
So sorry to change lanes on you there, but
Well, just like somebody from back east, they don't use their turn signals.
some
Uh,
don't, some do.
they don't use their turn signals where I live either. It's really frustrating. Use your turn signals, people. Use your turn signals.
We don't read minds.
Yeah, we don't have to pay for those. They're already in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an optional be installed.
And guess what? If they are broken, you've got an arm.
And you can always go pick up some blinker fluid at your local auto repair
There you
shop.
go.
All right, now he's changing lanes.
Yeah. All right. All right. So last thing before we call it a night, let's reminisce the past with stories or memories of our old area in the world of Azeroth. This one's going to be anywhere in Pandaria. Joe Bowie?
Yay.
Oh boy, Pandaria. No, I have a really I have a lot of love for the Star Song Ranch. Being as one of the first places in the World of Warcraft that was ours, that when we went there, no other players could be in there with us. We were just there to like have our own personal space, and if I was chatting with my guild or I was just hanging out, I would sit in my little hut, and some of my favorite times during Pandaria was these peaceful moments when it was thunderstorming and it's raining right outside my hut, and I'm sitting just inside the doorway of my hut watching the thunderstorm and the rain right outside, just chatting with my friends or sorting through my bag or something like that. And I just thought that was a really cool thing and a very nice experience. I'm a big fan of thunderstorms in real life, and to just have that kind of similar parallel experience of sitting in my hut on the Star Song Ranch and watching a thunderstorm go by as I was chilling out in private in WoW was actually it was very cool.
Lorelei.
I really enjoyed Pandaria. I know a lot of people didn't like the pandas and all that, but I thought that was just so creative and so pretty for the most part, except for dread waste because they always have to stick in some ugly insect area. But I I really enjoyed doing questing. I enjoyed the raids. I enjoyed the farm. Every now and then I still go back there and everybody's got cloth because that cloth will still sell. So I still farm now and then. But I think my favorite memory is in the beginning section when you're doing your raids, especially when you start a panda and you find out that Pandaria is on the back of a big turtle. And I think that was just great. I do wish that they had given us uh, a a balloon mount because when I saw the balloon that you got to ride in to go to Stormwind, I just wanted that. But the kite was okay, but I wanted that balloon. But I really liked Pandaria. I really did.
Cappuccino.
Yeah, Pandaria is one of my favorite places. I love the brightness. I liked being, the wide open spaces and the trees and the greens. And I agree with Lorelei about the balloon. That would have been an awesome mount to have. I remember my first time finding out that we were on the back of a turtle and just being so amazed, going, "Oh my God, we're on the back of a turtle! That is so cool." The dungeons were fun. The people were fun. I liked having that little garden that, like Jabui said, that nobody else can be in there with you. The quests were fun. That was our first taste of all of that, pretty cool cooking school and stuff, where we got introduced to Nami. So I just really, really enjoyed it. Um, and sometimes I'll go back just for the ease of the portals because the portals are all nice and handy too. You can pretty much get anywhere you want to go there from there. So yeah, it's a very holds a very fond place in my heart.
See, now it's confession time for me. I'm a
Uh
huge,
oh.
huge martial arts fan. Love martial arts movies, always have. And when the pandas came out, I just went, "Oh, this is just like when they released for D&D. They released the martial arts versions, and nobody wanted to play it. So I went, I'm going to do this, and I set up a whole music selection while I was leveling my panda monk on all the kung fu songs I could find, and the first one always was Kung Fu Fighting. You know, do do do
That's
do,
awesome.
yeah. And so I got, you know, about halfway through, and then you have to, you have to decide whether you're going horde or alliance, and realize that, you know, it's really cool, but the pandas are just they they're not kung fu. I mean, yeah, I get it, Kung Fu Panda, the cartoon, I get it, but so I went and switched and got a human monk. Went back through it. Now, I don't even play my panda anymore because it's just like, here's this big old bear. And I even had a really cool name, Chung Wayne. You know,
Yeah, they're
doing
too
flips
cute.
and kicks and spinning. I know, right?
You just
So
want
I,
to snuggle up with them.
yeah, yeah. So I had to switch and go to a human monk. So it made it more realistic for my kung fu, mentality. And then two, I really, really, really enjoyed that uh, commercial they had the orc and the human. They're in the bar, they're drinking, and they're both really tanked up. And the one looks over and he goes, "And it was a bear."
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
Does kind
Yeah.
of look like a bear.
that was awesome.
Yeah, that was probably the best. I mean, they did such a great job of leading up to it, and then it was just. I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed Pandaria, but I didn't play it as a panda. I
Oh,
played it
I
as
didn't either
everything but.
actually. I played
So
it
how
as
many of you
Cappuccino.
actually played it as a panda?
I
Um,
still have a panda on another server that I haven't gotten leveled up yet. I like the little girl pandas. They're okay. The boy pandas, I don't know. I didn't want them to be silly and cartoony, and I felt they came out that way.
Well, every time I see one, I think Jack Black's gonna say something.
Yeah, I think of the song do 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 do. No, no, no.
No, I
I
played Cappuccino myself.
Now I played, I played as my Worgen mage first, but I did go back through and play it as a panda. But I did like the panda characters. I especially liked how they did, some of the story, like I believe it's Cho Stormsnout that you run into, and he's hanging out with his niece, and you're following along with them as you get introduced to the area, and I thought that was a really cool way to introduce it, and I liked the characters. I liked how they were a little you know a little different. They had like this kind of cool laid back attitude when they were talking about things, and the voiceovers were really good. Um, although I will say this is something that occurred to me was the slow down. Life is meant to be savored. I got really tired of them saying that to me all the time. Almost as much as I get rid of uh, the demon hunters in Legion telling me I've sacrificed everything. What have you sacrificed? I'm like, shut up. Just let
You
me take
don't
my
know
flight point.
me.
Do you know how many times I've died in raids? You know,
That's one thing we should bring up next time. We'll all look it up. See how many times that we've been killed. It should be
oh,
on your stats for your character, for your main tune. And we'll
yeah, I did.
compare.
Yeah, I looked that up not too long ago. That's kind of funny.
All right. We're going to call it a night, guys. Thanks a lot for coming. We'll see
Thank
y'all
you.
next week.
Okay, have a good week.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
And happy Easter.
Yep.
Happy Easter.
If you like this podcast, throw us a like and subscribe to our channel. And please, leave comments or questions below. Maybe we'll answer them on the air next podcast. We are hosted on Podomatic.com. Our website is lionsprideTavern.podomatic.com. Our podcast also airs on iTunes for Apple users, Google Play for Androids, and YouTube. Just search World of Warcraft Lions Pride Tavern podcast. See you next week, and thanks for listening.